next functional requirement says that there are two employee types, hourly employee and salaried employee. And hourly employees are paid hourly, while salaried employees are paid with monthly salary. So that makes sense. And monthly payment for the hourly employees computed by number of hours worked and hourly rate, while the salaried employee has a fixed month salary. Okay, so at this point, we are going to decide whether we want to use inheritance versus composition. So it makes sense to actually use inheritance, and I'd like to explain why that is the case. Okay. The argument for the composition is that the logic of computation for hourly employee and salary employees are definitely different. So you could certainly actually use a composition, but I'll explain why I favor the inheritance in this case, right? So let's actually write code. So we are going to, So we are going to create hourly employee test. Okay, we might as well just create the hourly employee extending employee here first. Okay, so here we are going to create new class hourly employee, and the hourly employee extends employee. Okay, and we know that hourly employee has to have two private fields, two private fields that are needed for computation of the monthly payment. A number of hours, so it should be private, and int number of hours worked in a month. Okay, and then we have to have hourly rate, so that should be a double private double hourly rate. Okay, like this. All right, and we probably want to have actually constructor at some point. Okay, so let's actually create the testing code for this, right? So we want to actually follow the TDD style, which means we want to write the testing code first. So this is the something that you can use a more unit. So right click here, and then once you have installed the more unit, you're going to see more unit, and you're going to jump. You're going to select jump test member under test, and then it will create a test class. So this is something that you can do without using more unit. Okay, but more unit has in fact a lot more functionality, but for now I'm actually using mostly for this purpose. Okay, so here let's write the testing code. Again, I prefer testing code on the left and the target code on the right, and expand it here. So I'm going to write the testing code. So what I want to actually test is I want to actually compute the payment made to hourly employee. That has to be computed by number of hours worked and the hourly rate. So let's write test code. So should compute payment, I'll say monthly payment for hourly employee. Okay, so we need to create the hourly employee, right? So hourly employee and hourly employee and new hourly employee. Okay, so when we create hourly employee, we need to actually create the employee. We have to pass the employee type, right, which is the employee ID and first name and last name. And besides, we might want to actually pass along the number of hours worked as well as the hourly rate. Okay, and we could use the setter method for those two private fields of the hourly employee, but for now we're going to actually use the constructor. So here the employee ID, I'm going to just say 10, and the first name, my favorite first name Sang, and my favorite last name Shin, And then we want to pass the number of hours worked, so we can actually pass 10, and then hourly rate we'll say $10. Okay, and now we don't have actually this constructor for hourly employee, so we are going to create constructor for hourly employee here. Okay, so this one should be employee ID, and this one should be first name, and this one should be last name, and this one is number of hours. Yeah, so I want to actually, yeah, so this is the one we want to use here, and then hourly rate, this guy here, and let's actually move this guy up there. Okay, all right, so now we are going to so we are going to actually use the super parent class constructor, so we're going to actually say super and then employee ID and then first name and last name, and so we initialize those 3 fields, and then we have to initialize the these private 2 private fields of hourly employees. So this and number of hours is number of hours like this, and this hourly rate like this. Okay, all right, so we have initialized, we have actually a constructor of hourly employee, so this one should work fine. So okay, so now we were able to create the hourly employee here, and basically what we need is we need to compute the monthly payment for hourly employees. So the computation of hourly employees payments should be something like hourly employee, and then we're going to actually say compute monthly payment, something like this, like that. Okay, you know what, if you see you know, for example, the number of hours worked and the hourly rate probably doesn't change that much, but number of hours probably change quite often, right? So we might want to actually refactor the code so that you know, hourly rate is set by the constructor, but the number of hours will be set by the compute payment here. All right, so let's actually do that. So here that probably make more sense because the number of hours is always changing monthly basis, right? So we can actually remove this guy, and we do not want to Control D. Let me just delete this guy here. So here we are going to actually have this one, and then we are going to actually set the number of hours worked here like this. So this person worked at 10 hours. Okay. All right. So we don't have this compute monthly payment method in hourly employee, right? So here we want to actually assert that first. Assert that. We could do that later, but assert that, and the amount should be $10 by 10 hours should be 100, right? So I'm going to use the close to, which is used for the double value. So it should be $100. And the delta, I'm going to actually use the 0, 1. So as long as the value is within the delta, then it should be considered success. Okay. All right. So let's actually have this close to static method included. And now we can actually add this method, create method of compute monthly payment to hourly employee here. Okay. All right. So this one is number of hours worked. Okay. So here in that case, you know, we don't need this method, the field, right? So I'm going to just remove this guy, and it's going to be double. And the value should be number of hours worked times hourly rate. Okay, so let's remove this comment here. Let's save the change, and then it has been successful. Okay, so it returns correctly. Okay, just for the sake of the another test, we are going to actually use, how about the $11, and it should be $110. Okay, save the change, and the testing still is successful. So we were able to actually compute hourly employees monthly payment, and we are going to do the same thing for the salaried employee. So let's create the salaried employee as well. So here we are going to create new class and salaried employee, and finish. And then we want to actually have the salaried employee to extend employee. Okay, and again, I want to have this salaried employee on the right, and I want to write the testing code, salaried employee test. Okay, so here I'm going to create, right click salary employee, and more unit, and jump here, and then I have a salaried employee, the test, I want it here, and so this is the, okay, so let's actually expand it. So we want to actually do the same thing for salaried employee. We want to compute the monthly payment and see whether that is done correctly. So we're going to write the test code. So should compute the monthly payment for salaried employee. You can see I'm actually creating everything to be English-like. It actually make your code a lot more readable. Okay. All right. So we need to create the salaried employee. Okay. So salaried employee, and new salaried employee, and we certainly want to pass along the information about the employee, such as employee ID and first name, last name, and here we're going to actually specify monthly the salary. So here we're going to actually make $10,000 double value. Okay. All right, so here we need to create the constructor for the passing these 4 arguments. So we're going to create the constructor for the salaried employee. So it should be the employee ID, and again this should be first name, last name, and it should be monthly salary. Okay. All right, so here we are going to use a super employee classes constructor. So employee ID and first name, last names. So we set those 3 fields, and then we are going to have a monthly salary here as well, right? So we're going to have a private field, private, and double monthly salary, like that. And then we are going to actually set that field, monthly salary, like that. Okay, so we were able to create a constructor. So save all the changes. Okay, and then we're going to actually test it. Okay, so we are going to assert that. So salaried employee, and we actually want to compute the monthly payment, right? So here compute monthly payment right here should be in this case $10,000. Okay, the closed to $10,000 double value, and again delta is just 10 cents. Okay, so now we are going to add static method. Now we're going to add compute monthly payment to the salaried employee. Okay, so here we have it should return double, and this one should return monthly salary like this. Okay, and let's save all the changes and see whether our test has been successful. Okay, so we have a test has been successful, so we are pretty much all set in terms of creating hourly employee and the salaried employee. Now, let me actually explain why I have decided to use inheritance. You could certainly have, the computation logic of this one captured as an object and then can be injected, some kind of strategy pattern. But if you see this code, this logic is actually using the field of the salaried employee, and same thing for hourly employee, right? So it's actually using hourly rate and number of hours worked. In this case, it's actually being passed as an argument, but it's using the field of hourly employee. So computation of this logic extracted into an object could be a little bit cumbersome, because then you have to find a way to pass this value as an argument as well. So in this case, usage of inheritance is probably the right thing to do. Okay. In fact, there is another reason, which I'm going to actually talk about in a few minutes. So we just finished this guy, employee monthly payment. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop right here and let you finish the exercise up to this point.